You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. It's education and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live here on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And afterwards, both the audio and the video are podcasted at paceradio.net. Tonight, Kim and I have a husband and wife team, one a patient and the other a caregiver, who are here to do what we believe is the best way to educate people, and that is to share one's stories. But first, as always, Kim and I got something to chat about, and I'm sure Kim will agree on sharing stories helps educate people.
Absolutely, 100%. Our little chats are always very educational. Tonight, unfortunately, we have some sad news to discuss.
Yes. Before we bring in our guests, usually we have some news to bring up, news article or whatever. But tonight, instead of a news article, we're going to talk about our friend and fellow joint host here on the Pace Radio Show, and that would be Keith Fagan. Yeah. Keith was a
long-standing member of the cannabis community for forever.
Yeah, exactly. And he was one of the guys I reached out to when we got started here at the Pace Radio Show back in 2013 is when the date was. He jumped right on. He was right interested in it. He represented the Midwestern part of Canada because it had joint hosts across the country. So we have interviewed people from across the country, and they knew the advocates within their areas. And Keith did that. He had many people that you and I would both know, Kim. And many of our listeners or watchers would know as well.
Absolutely.
I got a list here.
Absolutely.
Amy Brown, Sita Van Winham, Redbeard, Patrick Boyack, he was on a guest as well. Watermelon, Bob Erb. You remember Bob Erb? The donated a bunch of money to the cannabis community. Yeah. Adam Scorgi. He was the director and the producer of the movie The Union. Had him on as well as a guest.
That's right.
Yeah. So he was with us for the first year.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was good that to have him involved and to be involved with the guests that he brought to the program. So what I have done tonight is I've put together. We had him on as a guest back in 2020. We had the 420 virtual tour, cross-country virtual tour here on the Pace Radio Network. So I took some audio from that and put together a clip here. It's going to run for, I don't know, between 4 and 5 minutes. And it's filled with pictures of Keith. And I took them from Keith's wall as well as from his wife's Debbie's wall, and some pictures that some people had posted under Deb's post talking about Keith. So I grabbed them from there. So I'm going to play that.
Absolutely. I had the pleasure also of working with Keith at Normal Canada when I was I've of course been a part of Normal Canada for many moons. And for one of the stints that I had there, I worked with Keith pretty closely for about a year. And, we did what we could to move this movement forward. And one thing I'll give that guy is he was driven. He was driven for the cause, and he wasn't going to quit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. He wasn't. Yeah, he just kept going and going and going. And advocating for patients and legalization. He was the founder of Calgary 420, as well as, like you said, he was involved with NORML. He was trying to get legislation changed.
Yeah.
The whole bit. So,
yeah.
Shall we run that video?
Absolutely. Okay. Let's take a look at Keith's life.
All right. We're going into our third segment of this Cross Canada tour here with our virtual 420. And now we have Sarah McNeil and Keith Fagan on the line with us. Welcome aboard.
Very well. 420 celebration and all. That's a nice day for us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, weather's good here. We're double digits, the whole bit. It's really nice.
You know more about, how the police kind of treated, because you were the first, you organized that. So do you want to maybe go back and let our listeners have what we went through that year?
Yeah, it was a cold year, 2003, up in Edmonton at the legislature. We froze, but we came up from Calgary on a bus that was rented by Bongs and such, a local store here that's been very supportive. So we had a luxury coach all rode up together and had tables laid out and the whole bit. And the cops wanted to put an end to it, but I was able to talk them out of kicking us out of there, telling them that we're not going to go. And everybody, you're going to have to arrest dozens of people just from Calgary alone, let alone who's there from Edmonton and other parts of the province. And so they backed off on that, thankfully, and let us have our way and let us enjoy the day and didn't bust anybody, thankfully.
Yeah, nobody got busted. That was good. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's always good, right?
One group was caught, but that was it. Thankfully they didn't arrest them. They took their pot away and stuff like that happens. So when they start blowing smoke at the cops and, they get a little angry and so they kind of brought it on themselves, unfortunately. But at least they weren't charged or anything.
We did. We kind of feared that because Alberta was always a different landscape before legalization. And funny enough how it's changed now. But, I mean, prior to 10 years ago, when you remember too, Keith. Well, Keith, if it wasn't for Keith Fagan and his wife, Debbie, there would be no to marijuana, to be honest with you. Because it was because of me watching them with the first protest for Grant Krieger that got me motivated to get involved. So how many years ago was that? 12, 13 now, I guess. But in hindsight, how many global marijuana marches, too, that were held in Calgary that, too, the police were kind of standing around watching?
Any police interference to break this up? I know you mentioned the cops were watching, but did they ever get hands-on?
Yeah, they did it first and they tried to intimidate us. That was back in 2005. They got right ridiculous, and I wrote to the police afterwards, and I wrote to the media and the politicians that the only thing they were successful in was breaching people's Charter of Rights, and we weren't going to stand for it. They actually gave us a $100 ticket, so we went and got a lawyer and went into court. In 3 minutes, he had that ticket tossed out, and the cops, finally turned around and were working with us. Right, they would block the intersections while we marched and all that. So it did get better after that, and it was nice to see. And, especially being so intimidating, we had Tommy Chong here the night before. He was here promoting his film, and so a lot of people from that show came out, and they wanted to join in. But you could see they were scared when they see, the cops there, trying to intimidate us. And they actually gave Grant Krieger a ticket, like I said, and we took that to court and got it tossed out. So from that time on, things changed. They were more interested in working with us instead of harassing us, thankfully. Yeah, exactly. I put my hand out to them saying, look, I don't want to fight with you. I want to work with you. I know the Charter of Rights, blah, 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 blah. So let's do this. And the city's attitude was, this is not going to happen in our city. We'll do everything to stop you that we can. And it was downright nasty. But after that first year, they pulled that nonsense and we beat them in court. They started to turn around and, like I said, block the traffic for us and allow the march to go ahead. And we had many, many years of the Global Marijuana March that we enjoyed here. For Calgary, we were pull over 1,000 people. That was a lot. Nothing like Toronto or Vancouver. Like Toronto's 25,000, 30,000. It was pretty amazing.
But Calgary, given how far right it is that is a pretty big number, to get out there.
It really was. Yeah, it was quite nice to see, and we really enjoyed ourselves, and it grew from there on, and not so much anymore, though. 420s we always did up in Edmonton at the legislature, because there was never really much interest here for the 420s. It was the Global March that was the big one here for us.
There you go.
Yeah. Keith Fagan.
Keith Fagan. You can see there, he was, out there on the streets fighting for patients and fighting for access for medical cannabis as well as cannabis. Yeah. So rest in peace, Case. The fight continues, man. It's not over yet.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the fight is continuing tonight for our guests. We've got a great couple on tonight. That's a woman that brought her husband home to die, and he's improving instead.
That's
so
right.
What Keith started is spreading across the country, and it's worked its way out to the East Coast. And this lovely couple is finding some relief with cannabis.
Exactly. Because it takes people to speak up and patients to speak up as well, to let them know about the benefits. And, many have done that. And tonight's guests are going to be doing that as well. So let's bring them in. All righty.
Absolutely.
All right. As I said earlier, our guests tonight are husband and wife team who are here to share their story. We'd like to welcome Kevin and Kim Baglole to the Pace Radio Show. Welcome, Kevin and Kim. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, you're welcome. And we really appreciate you spending some time and taking your time with us to come and talk to our listeners or watchers, as I got to get used to saying now, and sharing your story.
We'd like to start with condolences on the loss of your friend.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're pretty excited to talk with you tonight.
Good. We're excited to hear everything, and I'm sure that we'll start in one direction, and then we'll have our little Peter offs here, and a little bit here, and a little bit there as we go along, and nothing's ever set in stone, right, Kim? It just sort of goes wherever the flow of the conversation goes.
That's right.
I digress a lot.
Winging it all the time.
Yeah. And I better start off with the apologies to our watchers as they got used to running the camera here, okay?
But you get to play with the buttons.
I get to play with the buttons. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Al has fun with his buttons now. We'll be flipping around, that's for sure.
All righty. Okay, well, as usual, I throw things over to Kim. She'll get going, and I'll jump in as we go along.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Al. Yeah.
Kevin said we may as well start at the liquor store.
Oh, well, absolutely. Sounds good. Let's give our listeners some background on you guys. Kevin, you have MS, and that's what your condition is that you're suffering from. You were in hospital. They sent you home under the palliative care. Your wife was expecting to care for you until your end, and she did something that was sort of unexpected for you guys, and she went out and she got some cannabis edibles, and life for you guys changed. You went from palliative care to, wow, he's getting better. Give us a little bit of background on how you got to this point. How long was he in hospital? How long have you been dealing with MS and some of the trials and tribulations with that?
I was diagnosed in 2007, and I was told I had MS 10 to 12 years before that. My voice is very poor tonight.
Don't talk like you're projecting. Just talk like you're normal, like you're sitting here talking to me.
Okay, my voice is not good.
Go ahead. Keep going. We can.
So yeah, he was diagnosed in 2007. We had only met like three months before that. I was working at a Sobeys cashier, and Kevin was a customer, and he kind of hit on me in the grocery store. It's kind of a funny start. I was working the express lane, and he come through and gave me his phone number and directions to his house. So I was kind of cracking jokes with all the cashiers. Oh yeah,
way to go, Kevin.
He's smooth like that.
Just a player, he is. Yes, just a player.
He's always been like that, I guess, from what I hear. But yeah, we started going out in January, and he went out west like after the first weekend of dating. He went out west to work, and he was home 10 days later. He got struck down his first episode out in Alberta.
Wow.
He was running a bulldozer, and he went to shovel snow off the blade, and he said it was like walking through off the tracks. Okay, see, that tells you how much I know about heavy equipment. Bulldozer, does it even have a blade? Okay. But he said it was like walking through cement. So they sent him home. They said to see a neurologist out there, which is what he needed. He would be waiting way too long, and it was they just said, go home.
Oh, my blood vessel, right on.
Yeah, everything showed up right on. The rest of his health was immaculate, really. And anyways, he came home, and we continued to date in January. And in March, the neurologist said, I'm pretty sure you have MS. And they did a MRI and confirmed it. And then in August, this is 2007, he was confirmed as having, on a second opinion, secondary progressive. So he was already progressing. His illness now is already in the deterioration stages. So we stay together. We get married in 2012. At that point, he's not sure whether he should walk down the aisle or go down in a wheelchair, because we were right about that stage. Mm-hmm. And he decided to go down the aisle in the chair in case he fell, because his walking was getting bad by then. And so from 2007, 5 years, he had gone from being diagnosed to almost being full-time in a wheelchair. Now, 18 months later, in Prince Edward Island, the end of March 2014, there's a very bad snowstorm here. It was like 109 kilometer wind gusts, minus 37 wind chill. And we had a blizzard the day before. And then this day it was all clear and the same. And we had a power outage, and we had an accident with a kerosene heater, and we were in a fire. We had our house caught on fire, and I got Kevin out, and we had a St. Bernard at the time. And we called Kevin's parents to call 911. And the storm was so bad that the two fire trucks coming from both directions, the plows got stuck, so the fire trucks couldn't get here. So it was over an hour. We were out of our home for 3.5 months. And the whole time that we were out of our home, by the time we got back, we had good insurance and everything. So we were lucky there, but it doesn't change.
I assumed it burnt to the ground.
It may as well have. The whole roof was gone. From one end to the other. The kerosene heater caught, and it was just a weird day. I mean, that's a whole story in itself. and it's not really a place I want to go right now.
No problem.
But that
Yeah.
fire, by the time we got back home, Kevin is now in a wheelchair for good. By the time we got back home, there's no, just the stress of those 3.5 months that we were displaced. He's now, the stress progressed to those.
Oh yeah, the stress of going through all that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely, yes. So he's been in and out of the hospital, but the last trip, the one you talked about, the last time he left the hospital, I knew it was something different because every other time he's been in and out, when he leaves, they give me a slip of paper and they say, this is his pills, this is what we're doing, this is, this is what you need to watch for, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. This time they wanted me to bring in all my support system, but they had told me Kevin was sick, and Kevin kept saying, I'm dying at home, I'm going to die at home, that's all that's happening. So we did up his, what do you call it, directive for in case he passed away.
Oh, like a DNR type thing.
Yes. That one there, the health directive they call it. And the DNR, he had that all filled out.
Okay.
And when we were leaving the hospital, they wanted me to bring in the support system that I had. So because I was working, I had somebody in the home with Kevin while I was gone. She came in, and Kevin's parents, which was 5 of us. And I was floored when they took us into a room and there was 11 other health professionals sitting around there. I knew something was up. This is not a normal exit. So they had a doctor, they had a healthcare liaison, they had a swallowing expert, a respiratory expert, they had a home care liaison, they had a home care palliative care nurse. There was just a list of people, and they were telling us how to take Kevin home to die, what to do in all these cases, giving us everything they had. At that point, the physiotherapists all dropped him. His physiatrist, which is a muscle specialist, didn't want any more appointments with him. The neurologist didn't want to see him anymore. This is May 2019.
Wow.
So
really, everybody's just up and just said
they gave up. They
go
gave
home.
up.
This is what you do. Yeah, go home. This is what you do. So we went home feeling pretty much like, this is the end. Now we got to somehow figure this out on our own. Kevin was
Let's have a drink.
Kevin says, let's have a drink. Kevin was 156 pounds at 5'11" all his life. So this summer, May 2019 into the summer, Kevin shriveled. He shrunk. He dropped to 125 pounds. I say you could, he's like sitting in a wheelchair, and he faded at 5'11" to 125 pounds. I could count his rib, and I could cut things with his jawline. I mean, he was just so skinny. And he was on the breathing machine that breathed in for you, breathed out for you. So if he couldn't do it, the machine did it. He was, they had done the tests. His ribs or his chest muscles were working 30%. His lungs were working 40%. I might have that backwards, but everything in around here basically was giving up. He couldn't swallow properly. He was swallowing, and it was catching, and he was aspirating into his lungs. They were afraid that he was going to get pneumonia from that. And I mean, he just like so sick. So he was fading away. His bowels were shutting down. His kidneys were shutting down, and we just limped along from May. We had his last birthday party. What we figured would be his last birthday party. We had a big turnout for it. A lot of people came to spend it with Kevin, thinking it would be that. And we had his last Christmas, and then in February, a friend of mine challenged me to start making gummies. He wanted some gummies. So, but he didn't want them done with the distillate or anything like that because he doesn't like the taste of them. And I agree with him there. Over time, I've come to find out I don't either.
Before we get into what you're doing right now, as far as like you mentioned all these doctors just dropped him. Like this was almost 3 years ago.
Yep.
The doctor shortage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the time of that last appointment, I mean, we're in a big health crisis in PEI as it is with, like, our healthcare system is crumbling. Doctors are leaving Prince Edward Island, things like that. From what I see, from my perspective, it's not good here. And we had that last appointment, we had a doctor stand still in that room with us for almost 45 minutes. And that was almost unheard of. But we come to realize why afterwards. But yeah, it was like they all let him go. But right now I'm fighting to get them to take notice again. His neurologist has rescheduled an appointment. His physiatrist has done another series of Botox in his leg muscles to help loosen them up and relax them so that he can exercise them.
Yep.
And we were supposed to have another one done yesterday, but inclement weather kept us from driving.
Yeah, we know about that weather. It just passed through here.
Winter in PEI.
I can just imagine it's even worse where you guys are at. Oh,
we've had a couple of storms already.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Kim, any questions before we go into a break and get into the next
I'm in Northern Ontario. I feel your pain.
Oh, okay. And I'm from Newfoundland. I'm an original
Yeah,
Newfie.
absolutely. I mean, I wanted to. No, there you go. I'm in Northern Ontario, so I feel your pain. We're cold here, and we got lots of snow. I just coming off a week of minus 45, so I feel you for sure. I just want to make mention about, you did mention quickly there about the gummies that you make. We're going to get into that when we come back, but I'm glad to hear that you gravitated away from the distillate and are sticking with the whole plant remedy, because that makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, and
we'll get into that more after the break, I guess, Al?
Yeah, and the fact that you get sent home and you just kept pounding away and not giving up. What was that, Kevin?
You're still here. That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Like, wow, big difference.
Yes,
big difference. Okay, well, let's take that break. What do you say?
We'll see you when you get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We're about a minute early, but that's okay. I want to dive into their story further, so let's get to that first.
That's right. After break we go. Kim and I will continue our talk with Kevin and Kim Baglole. When we get back, this is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook and YouTube pages. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network, found at paceradio.net, provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done through our 5 weekly live video and audio broadcasts that cover cannabis and psychedelic news, plus those we interview. We get started Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Reefer Reporters. Then at 9 p.m. we're live with Canada Quebec. Tuesday brings you Open Your Eye or the Psychedelic Reporters at 7 p.m. Wednesday at 8, we are live with the Pace Radio Show. But we're not done yet, because on Thursday, the Reefer Reporters return with another Reefer Report. Meanwhile, once a month, Thursdays bring you the Grassroots Advocate, the Pace Radio Network's audio magazine. All these shows, plus more, are found right here on paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CTCP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888. And grow on with CTCP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net. Hey, we're back. It's with the Pace Radio Show, and we're being broadcasted live here on our Facebook and YouTube pages. And afterwards, both the audio and video will be available at paceradio.net. I'd also like to remind people to tune in to the Reefer Reporters tomorrow with Cindy Howell and her partner, Ron McNabb, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. You can watch them right here on the network's Facebook page, on YouTube, or as well on the Reefer Reporters Facebook page. You catch it there, or catch the podcast afterwards at paceradio.net. Tell you on the program, as you can see, Kim and I are back, and we got our guests, Kevin and Kim Baglole. Hello, you guys are back, and we didn't lose you. That's good.
Hi again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, I see we got messages there. Kim just had them up. Message there from Deanna. Was it Deanna? Saying hi to
Dina
Kevin and
Arsenal.
Kim.
Oh, hi, Dina.
Arsenal is in the house. Candy Sense Plus as well as in the house, and Leanne Parsons DeRoche is also saying hello.
A lot of friends, yes. Dina was actually one of Kevin's caregivers over the last few years.
Oh,
so she came in while I worked. She stayed with Kevin 24 hours a week while I worked.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's,
nice.
Dedication. It's a big job. It's like, you need the help.
Yeah.
It's a big job.
It is. It's full time, yes.
It's dedication. Yeah, absolutely.
Just so you know, I'm gonna move you. There you go.
Ooh, what happened?
Al's playing buttons. Al's playing with the buttons again.
I had to get you in position.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, before the break, we were talking about how you decided to start Kevin on gummies and edibles. And obviously, Kevin's still here, which is fantastic news for Kevin and for everybody else around him. That's for sure. You touched a little bit on your preference for whole plant remedy in the gummies. Tell us a little bit about that. Let's get into that. How did you discover cannabis as a medicine for Kevin? And let's walk that path. Let's go through it.
Well, I've been a recreational user myself for years, since college. And I'm in my 50s now. So, yeah, I've been a recreational user. Kevin, one of the first things I did when I met Kevin was I talked him into having a puff, and then I watched him pass out, and I knew he wouldn't be able to get high with me anymore. And then he, as his lungs started to go, even smoking around him got harder and harder. But when I did start making the gummies, it was just to make him feel better through the last of it, because I knew that if he could get stoned, it wouldn't matter as much.
You're trying to, you're just trying to improve his quality of life.
Quality of life.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
For those,
if it's my job to take him through the last days, then I'm going to take him through how I see fit. So I got him stoned, and if I could get him, into somebody's house that had music playing and people around. At one point, we used to take him to my brother's, put a piece of 2x4 across the front of the wheelchair with a beer and a long straw so that he could just tip his head forward and drink. And I had decided if he's going to die anyways, he may as well enjoy it. And so, yeah,
Absolutely.
we were doing stuff like that. And then the gummies, when I started making them, and he's like, yeah, I like this. So this was February, just before the pandemic started. I'd say probably the first day I made them was probably February 29th, if I even had to think about it. And I think it was a leap year that year. And so I was having fun with it, making the gummies, and we were enjoying them and everything. And one evening I was napping in the living room. And when I come out of the living room, he had the foot plates on his wheelchair thrown back, and he had his feet on the floor, and he was pushing up on the arm plates. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? He said, I think I can walk. I mean, now the summer before, he was getting up coming out here, tipping his chair back and going to sleep. He was sleeping all day. He was getting up, having supper, sleeping after supper, getting up and going to bed. I'd say 20 hours a day he was sleeping. And he was like, he had faded away to nothing. He was like, But this night when it come out, he said, I think I can stand up. That's what he said. Not walk, stand up. And I looked at him, and I walked over, and I leaned down, and I let him put his arms up around my neck, and we got him in a semi-standing position. But this man had not been able to bear weight in any form at all for a good 2 years at this point.
And to get to that point of being semi-standing. And
right, my mind
standing
was blown.
for 2. Wow.
And
exciting.
At that point,
I mean, how happy were you? How much were you jumping for joy?
we were stoked. I think the first thing I did was went and posted on Facebook or something like, Kevin's trying to stand. But we didn't know then if it was the gummies or not. He figured that he was feeling stoned and he was feeling energetic. So we decided to experiment. At that point, we were in isolation. It was, we were calling it Saturday number 270, because every day when the pandemic started, it was like a Saturday, right? So, so here we are, and we decide that we're going to try as much as we could. And the more I gave him, the better he got. Now, it's just...
Big smile there from Kevin.
Because it's not what they planned for.
No, they didn't.
It's not what they told him was going to happen. But so he went in the hospital last March to be fitted for a stand-up wheelchair, and I wouldn't let him go in without gummies at this point. We had decided at this point through our own, because no doctors wanted to see us or anything like that. We were left to figure out medications, everything on our own, just as GP. And the GP is not going to dabble in all the things he needed. So,
right, that was above his.
So when he went into the hospital, I said, he is not going in unless he is getting gummies. The gummies are what's helping him, and I'm not having him go in there and lose ground.
Yeah.
They have done too much over the years to cause him to lose ground, like cutting his physiotherapy, for example. And when he didn't have 6 weeks of physiotherapy, being an MS patient, he had muscle atrophy set in. So, but just different things like that. And at this time, it was going to be done on our terms.
Yes.
And
well, they gave up on you. They gave up. They gave up.
Yeah.
They sent you home. They said, no, we're done with you. We're sending your ass home, and we can't do anything else. So nobody can say shit at this point that you took matters into your own hands.
Exactly.
That's the choice they left you with.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, but now looking back, thank God they did.
So we did get the neurologist to give him another appointment. I phoned her up and I'm like, he's doing better. He needs to see you. And when he was going into the hospital, I'm not really sure because I've only been a recreational smoker for years, and this is still something that I'm very excited to learn about. But I managed to get for Kevin from a neurologist who I don't really think knew cannabis the way she should to be writing a prescription like this. But the prescription is for 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams of THC per day.
Oh, yeah, that is different than because
nice.
That's big, eh? So yeah, that's what.
That's huge, but that's what you need for this kind of treatment.
She did it as the milligrams instead of I'm used to anyways, just the grams. But obviously,
there's several doctors that do the milligram thing. That's something that I learned a lot about from our doctor friend that was part of our show, Dr. Price.
Dr. Price,
that was on. That's part of his regime. When he educates doctors, he can teach them to break it down to the milligrams for patient-specific meds to treat stuff like MS.
Yes, and somebody told me it converts to about 18 grams a day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
well,
if
there's
that's
1,000 milligrams in a gram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how many grams did you say?
Only sounds like 4 or 5 milligrams, or 4 or 5 grams.
5 grams.
4 to 5 grams. Yeah, because there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram.
Okay, so that's not that big of a
deal. The breakdown.
Yeah, that's about how much I smoke.
But when they put it into the milligrams, a lot of times they put it into milligrams if they want you to do specifically like things like edibles, topicals, non-combustible, non-inhalation methods of ingestion are generally broken down into milligrams. And it sounds like that's the case for Kevin because he is doing the gummies and the edibles. So that makes perfect sense. It sounds like your doctor may not know much about cannabis as a whole, but she definitely did her research on the prescribing end.
That's what it sounds like. Yes.
Yeah.
So I played around with the recipe and everything like that, and I'm making butter on my kitchen stove. And that summer was it had its fun moments. I grew my first 4 plants out on my back deck. I grew them in storage tubs, and they grew up really nicely. And I was out there. I had nothing to do all summer but stay home. Nice big back deck, and I was out with my little scissors trimming, and I would open the door and marijuana leaves would blow across the kitchen floor. It used to make me laugh, stuff like that. All over the back deck, I had all the shake leaves drying out and everything. And I just figured that living in the middle of marijuana, I'd finally hit the big times. I digress, I guess. But the recipe called for 14 grams of cannabis per 1 pound of butter. And I flipped that over and I did 28 grams per pound of butter. And now I'm doing 56 grams per pound of butter. 2 ounces in every pound.
Nice and strong.
Okay.
Nice and strong. Yeah. Yeah. Metric and standard, Kevin says. Yeah. So what I make is a little, this is what we get to enjoy daily.
Nice.
Little marijuana
Oh,
leaves.
you bought the cannabis shaped leaf. Nice.
I did. They pack about 150 milligram punch.
Nice.
So it's a nice little snack, and we usually do 2 of those at a time.
To 300 milligrams. Yeah, there you go.
At a time. And lately what I've been doing is making a chocolate as well. These are my, I don't know how to turn for the camera.
Hearts.
Little hearts.
Little heart.
Little heart.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Good spot right there.
So what we do is we eat one of each at the same time, and I call it a big Turk.
A big Turk.
Oh, a little sandwich. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, a little gummy and a little chocolate.
Would that be like a chocolate gummy?
Yes, yeah.
Chocolate gummies.
But the gummies, when I make them,
very cool.
they're not like other gummies, and it's done for a reason. Like I use half regular Jello and half sugar free because I don't want extra sugar in it. And I use sugar-free Gatorade and Mio as a flavor booster. And the sugar-free Gatorade and the Mio both are packed with electrolytes. So those are great additives to have in them, especially when you're using them for something like this, because the electrolytes are something that most bodies need that people don't even realize they're lacking.
Yeah.
And it's positive energy going into the body as well. And then the citric acid that I use in them is good for like the liver and the kidney function like that. And where he was suffering liver and kidney failure, not really liver and kidney failure, but they were weakening. And
deterioration,
Yes, and that's definitely good for him to have in his system. Good for all of us to have in our system. And then none of us want scurvy. Citric acid fights scurvy too.
Good. It's
Yeah.
good.
You know, the last time there's been a outbreak of scurvy, right? Sorry, I was just having fun there.
Scurvy.
I guess.
No problem.
That's all good. It's all good. I like it. Little jokes all over. That's fantastic. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Kevin is trying to walk.
Yeah.
He's trying to stand. Kevin is still with us. Thank goodness for that. Kevin, how do you feel about this whirlwind adventure you've been on with your lovely wife? I mean, you must be just so happy that she made this discovery for you.
Oh, I am. She takes really good care of me. And I'm kind of getting tired of sitting in this chair.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to
I can believe that.
I exercise daily.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this year he's taken up an exercise regimen. He has the exercise bands, I guess, over the door in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And he does the exercise where he's pulling his arms like this. So it's helping with the frozen arm here. It's helping to lift it up and stretch it out. And the way he has his hands now, he flexes them up. He also does about 80 of those. He does 160 down the hallway with the pulleys. We have the tension bands that hook on his feet, and he holds them and he pulls them up and he does sit-ups with those. physiotherapy sent him home. So we've decided to do our own physiotherapy. And the cannabis community is great. And here's a little anecdote that shows you how good it is. I have a wonderful friend who comes in 3 days a week. Twice she massages and exercises Kevin, his back and his arms, and exercises, stretches out his arms, everything like that. And once a week, she does the same thing from his knees down to get the circulation going, to get all his muscles flexed and working, and everything like that. And it's been integral in his improvements. And here's the funny part now that how it connects to the cannabis community. I pay her with gummies.
No, there you go. There you
gummies,
go.
right?
My God.
All right, good stuff.
Out of trade.
I can
amazing.
I can tell you that you're loved in the cannabis community because it's been nonstop messages here that Kim has been posting up on here. Kim's been grabbing the messages and showing them, and the people's comments that are coming in during the broadcast. There's no doubt that you've got a lot of support in the cannabis community.
That is awesome. Do you know there's an online Facebook cannabis community? And Kevin and I were just introduced less than 2 weeks ago. And they have received us with open arms. It is like we've belonged there all our lives. It's just amazing the support they're giving us. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
found home.
We
That's
did.
what
We
it's
found
like.
home.
It's like coming home. It's like finding your people, you know?
It is, yes. These are my people.
Oh, I'm tearing up. Yeah, I'm tearing up. Your story is touching, to say the least. Amazing, a journey that you guys have been on. So in the current situation that you're in, you did mention that you had an appointment with the doctor. Doctors are willing to see you once again. Kevin is doing his exercise routine at home, which is fantastic. Is there plans or is stuff in the works to get him back on, physiotherapy? You mentioned he did have the one Botox treatment. So is there more of that coming up?
We were scheduled for another Botox yesterday morning, and it's been rescheduled for next Thursday. Now, when he was into physiotherapy in the hospital back in March for the 2-week stay, and we had managed to get our home home care physiotherapist to look into requisitioning a stand-up wheelchair for him. So he's in the hospital in the physical rehab to be able to see if he can weight bear and those things in the chair, because if not, it's no good to even bother. So while he's in the hospital, his physiatrist had retired, and that was the reason he let Kevin go, was that he had retired, but he had also felt that he had no more need for no more benefit that he could offer Kevin, because Kevin had shifted to the palliative stage. So he heard that Kevin was in the hospital, and I guess they were talking about how well he was doing for a man who by this time was supposed to be dead. That the doctor came back to the hospital to see Kevin while he was there, the doctor that had retired. And he's decided that he has a few little things left to do when he's taken Kevin on back as a patient.
Nice.
Kevin is one full-time patient. So we're really buoyed by that, because at least we have somebody who's in that field that's willing to at least help him at this point. He's so impressed that Kevin can open his hand again, and how Kevin can, his arm was shriveled up, his fingers sunk in, and everything like that from the atrophy. And Kevin is fighting atrophy here. And I watched Kevin 2 days ago closing the pocket door in the bathroom, and I've not seen him do that. It's just that every day he's doing something different that he couldn't do.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
To some people, it might be something small, but to him, it's huge, and to
To us,
yourself,
it's
and
huge.
it's
Huge.
all
It's
it's
huge.
all progress. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
openly
Let
talking
me
about it
ask
more
you.
than.
Go ahead,
No,
Kim.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I've been talking
Okay,
about
I was
it.
just going to ask you, did the doctors ask about, I'm sorry, I probably have a lag. I'm in the country and my internet's not great, so my apologies for that.
She's off grid.
But I was going to ask, what did the doctors say? Were they shocked that Kevin was like, it's like, what do you mean I have an appointment with Kevin? What are you talking about? Kevin's still alive. Were they shocked? Did they ask you how you accomplished this, or did they ask you how he is still here? Was there any conversation about you implementing the cannabis?
I've been open with every single one of them. He takes vast amounts of cannabis, and most of them are like, "Oh yeah, they don't know much about it." Most of them are not interested in cannabis as a medication. It's discounted, even though he has MS. So I'm having a hard time getting
was on the
anybody.
They put him on his deathbed, and
he's
now
still
you've
here.
had him. He's still here, and you've had him in a standing up position, like, not, I don't know if he wasn't quite supporting himself or whatever, but he was up out of his wheelchair.
Right?
Like, I
How
think
can you discount it
like
still?
myself as a doctor, I think I'd be going like, okay, let's find out more. What's going on here?
Yeah, well,
how is this
that's what
helping?
I'm pushing for. That's what I'm pushing for. We have his neurologist has requisitioned an MRI. So we're waiting for that because that's the gold standard with MS to tell it how the activity is. So we will, when we get this one done, and it's a 13-month wait in minimum in PEI right now for an MRI, but we should be able to see that some of the plaques on his brain have disappeared or reduced in size. Well, I mean, Kevin said hopefully, and my first reaction is, well, you're in remission, you're getting better. As long as you're getting better, you're in remission. So there has to be a reduction in plaques on his brain. It's just, and then when they see that, that's going to be something that they can't ignore.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I need to get in front of them.
Yeah, because they'll be able to look back at his past scans.
He's had an MRI. You've had what? 4 MRIs in the last 4 MRIs since 2007. So they have a lot to compare from.
Well,
they have a lot.
Yeah. And like, it doesn't get better all by itself without a reason. So if the only thing that's new is the gummies, then that's obviously the reason.
The gummies have knocked him into remission. That's my diagnosis.
Yeah,
because
as
a non-doctor, that's my diagnosis.
They shut him down off his meds, did they not? Or almost shut him down back there when the doctors were all leaving?
He's been taking a lot of meds. Like, he has a blister pack that it's not really a lot of meds, because I don't really, to a degree, I don't think that meds are the answer for everything, especially when you start putting a bunch of them in. If you put 4 or 5 or 6 meds, then this one does this, and this one counteracts here, and this one does that. And so he takes 4 pills in the morning, plus an MS disease modifier, and which is just another pill. So 5 pills and 2 vitamin D. And then he takes the same 5 in the evening and 2 vitamin D. And that's all he takes for pills.
It takes less than me.
Over the last 2 or 3, my dog is snoring so loud, my little Shih Tzu. Over the last 3 years, I've been. I was like, what the heck is that?
Well, hey, just so you know, I
happy and comfy.
Yes, he's comfy. Exactly. I see the time. It's the top of the hour.
It is 10 o'clock.
All
Wow,
right.
it's flying.
It just flew right by. Medication time once again.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent.
All right. Time for
Smoke
that
them if
commercial
you
break.
got 'em.
That's right. When we return, Kim and I will continue this conversation with Kevin and Kim Baglole. You're listening and watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook and YouTube pages. See you in about 4 minutes.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP. The Pace Radio Network is the place to be for all your information from the world of psychedelics, because we are pleased to bring our listeners 2 shows focusing on psychedelic therapy in the world of natural medicine. First up, we have Open Your Eye, which airs on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. Open Your Eye is a 90-minute video podcast with Kim Cooper and Cindy Howell interviewing patients and professionals in the space. Patient stories, facilitators, lawyers, and others discuss their journeys and endeavors involving psychedelic medicine. But they're not done, because Kim and Cindy are back on alternate Tuesdays at 7 p.m. with psychedelic reporters as they bring along the show's mascot, Bufo, aka the Colorado Mud Toad, who is scouring the news wires for all the latest in psychedelic news. He then passes it on to Kim and Cindy to cover in this 60-minute video news podcast. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Psychedelic Tuesdays right here on the Pace Radio Network, found at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hey, welcome back to the Pace Radio Show, and thanks for tuning in. Tonight on the program, Kim and I are joined by our guests, Kevin and Kim Baglole, who are sharing their patient story. There we go. We got them back in now. How am I doing on your last name? I'm probably butchering it, ain't I?
Pretty good. 2 syllables. Baglole.
Baglole. Hey.
Yeah.
Baglole.
Gee, it looks more complicated than that.
My maiden name is even more difficult.
Oh, yeah?
Skippington.
Skippington.
Oh, boy.
Skippington. You see that I'm writing? It's like,
Okay.
how do you say that?
Yeah.
Skippington. Okay.
That's a solid leafy name, though.
Yeah, you know, it's not very often we get a Smith or a Jones.
No.
For as common as it is.
It's always somebody complicated. Yeah,
That's right.
Al gets all tongue-tied, and we have some issues at times.
I've apologized. I've apologized so many times over the years.
It's all good from here.
Good.
We don't mind.
Good.
You're not alone, though, Al. You're not alone. We did a show with Dan Harrer and of course Jack Harrer's son, and in one show he commented that I mispronounced his name like every way that he's ever heard in his whole life in like one short show. So there you go. I used every pronunciation except the right one. So yeah, it happens.
That's a skill set in itself.
That's it. When you can mix them up in a single segment, hey.
Yes, and sometimes there's just not the right opportunity to do that, as we've seen in the past, comedians. But yeah, okay, let's get back to you guys and Kevin's story and your story, Kim. I'll tell you, this is just wow, yeah, one of those jaw-dropping stories that educates people, lots of people.
We're pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
We've been pretty quiet over the years. We've been like isolated long before isolation became the norm. So, So when the pandemic hit, we were already doing everything basically that you needed to, except now we're stoned on gummies. It just made everything tolerable, right?
Yeah, well, you know, like you say stoned on gummies, but look at the progress.
Exactly. And as long as we can be stoned and progress.
You look at, you know, the medications that you can be on. Like, I know my own medications I can be on, talks about brain illnesses and the whole bit.
That's right.
He's gone through a pile of medications, like through all this stage, I would think, before he got to the cannabis, if he was to that point of basically, you know.
Kevin, there was 3 medications Kevin was on that he was the first on PEI to be on. We were at the point that we were educating the neurologist. We would show up at his office and we would say, "What about this?" And he's like, "What do you mean? I've never heard of that." And then he'd have to go look into it. He'd have to make us another appointment in 6 weeks so that he could research the information and he could come back.
Learn.
And he would come back and prescribe what we asked him, because of being on Facebook, in Facebook groups and stuff like that. Had to fight. Some doctors we had to fight so hard. The neurologist one of the early neurologists that he's probably seen 12 or 14 neurologists over the 14 years, different ones, different cities, different reason. But this one in particular did not want us to go to Ottawa to see the doctor who had done he had done a study on 61 people. They're doing it now in Mexico, but it costs $75,000 in Mexico. Wow. And it's autologous stem cell. They remove your spinal fluid through a spinal tap, lumbar puncture, and they separate the stem cells in the blood. Then they give you very heavy chemo to shut your immune system down. When your immune system is totally shut down, then they give you back your stem cells, and it reboosts and renews your immune system, and there's no markers left for MS. But it's not approved in Canada. So
I believe I have heard of that.
There's a lot of experimental stuff going on.
Yeah,
there's a lot of experimental stuff going on with gene therapy.
Yep. So you went to see that doctor, you said?
We saw that doctor in Ottawa, but by then Kevin's illness had progressed too much for his protocols. His protocols were fairly strict because it was an experiment. But if we could ever come up with the $75,000, we could go to a half a dozen countries in the world and have it done. But you can't have it done in Canada. They're even doing it in Boston right now, just south of us,
just over the border.
Well, just over the border.
Yeah,
and it's
just over the border.
It changes the person's life so much. I mean, if he didn't have MS, and it just. One thing he's guaranteed at that point is he will never progress anymore. They won't guarantee improvements, but most of the people improve. It's just how it works.
If he does that treatment, he can't get any worse. So yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
it's worth a shot, right? But you got some pushback about, looking into experimental therapy, stuff that doing your own research, and finding out about these drugs. And then you go to the doctors and you tell them about it. Some of them, they get their noses out of joint a little bit, don't they? They're like, well, what the hell are you talking about? You're not supposed to tell me. They get a little bit pissy, eh?
That's what this neurologist did. And then when I went to him with the name of the doctor in Ottawa wanting a referral, he was adamant he wasn't going to give us one. And we had an argument in his office that day, and I was mad. I was mad. When we were done, he wrote the letter of referral. And when we got out to the counter, his secretary very lowly said to me, "I'm so sorry, Kim." And I looked at her with my head held high, and that office was full. I said, "Don't you worry one bit about me." I said, "But I would go back and check on your boss if I were you." And she laughed. She chuckled when I said that. But he wrote the letter, and I told her, when he writes that letter of recommendation, can you please send me a copy? And I walked into his office with that letter of recommendation and pulled it out and asked him why he was so arrogant. In the letter that's supposed to be a recommendation, these people seem to think that they need to come and see you. Like words like that. And it was very.
It's all about intent.
Like I'm being sort of forced to do this.
Yeah, and it was, in my opinion, it was a very narcissistic on his behalf. Because he was basically saying, "I've doctored them, and they don't need to see you." And in the conversation, he kept referring to Dr. Friedman as Mark. I know Mark, and I kept going, "Dr. Friedman." And when we got up to see Dr. Friedman in Ottawa, I said, "Oh, yes, I'm not going to say this doctor's name here in Summerside, but I said, he says he knows you." And I said his name, and he said, he had his glasses on, he's writing, and he goes, "I know that man." And he put his head back and he went to writing. And I got a feeling that he didn't like this doctor as much as this doctor liked him. But
there's a rift there. There's a rift there for sure. But it's a good thing that you stood your ground, because too many doctors do that kind of stuff. We see it in patients going to request cannabis prescriptions, referrals. Back in the day, remember, Al, you had to have a referral to a specialist,
one time you had to have a specialist
didn't want to write the referrals and this and that.
And
it was a couple of doctors. You had to have 2 or 3 doctors to get in.
Yeah.
So you had to have 2 or 3 of them, and if you had a doctor is pushing back, Yeah, now they have clinics, and then when the clinics first started, first you needed a referral for the clinic. The only way you could get into a clinic was with a referral to go to the specialist clinic. And yeah, we've seen that where a lot of doctors will push back on alternate therapy or natural therapies or experimental therapies, all of this kind of stuff. They get this godlike complex and they don't want to do it. You know, as a patient advocate, I try and tell everybody out there, they don't have the right to do that. Their God complex is interfering with their moral code that they took on ethics, and they don't have the right to do that. According to the College of Physicians and Surgeons, if a patient requests a referral, it is the doctor's obligation to write that referral, no matter what their personal bias on that particular thing may be. They try and get away with it. You got to push them back and make sure that they know that you know that you're not allowed to do that. So I'm glad you stood your ground for him, Kim. That's fantastic.
Thank you. And absolutely, I really had to get used to advocating for him over the years. We've done everything we could. I mean, Kevin was in California for the liberation treatment. That was quite expensive. And
liberation treatment?
That's the one that was considered a cure for MS back around 2010. A doctor in Italy come up with this process where you go in through the femoral artery, up through the heart, and they use angioplasty on the neck veins. And it was curing a lot of MS patients. But it didn't help Kevin. About a month, and then he started to deteriorate again. So, you know, and we had to go to
saying that it was
for
an
that
inflammation there. It was a narrowing. There was a narrowing of the passages there. It wasn't allowing for proper blood flow, as I recall. And the procedure opened up the blood flow and would help those suffering from MS. That was a big deal for a little while.
Yeah. I remember that.
What they based that on was through autopsy, they found that there was rust at the base of the brain, and it was always in MS patients. So opening the vein allowed that to flow through, and it removed it got the rust to flow through, and then you just shed it, however, through natural ways. But with Kevin, because I honestly think that MS is kind of an umbrella diagnosis for a lot of illnesses that they don't know, because a lot of people in the beginning get misdiagnosed with MS, and it turns out they have such things as transverse myelitis, Epstein-Barr syndrome, fibromyalgia. It could be Parkinson's. They always look, you might have Parkinson's, you might have ALS. Another one that's been misdiagnosed for certain is Lyme disease. And then when they figure out it's Lyme disease and treat the Lyme, then the person becomes well. So they never did have MS. And the oddest one that gets misdiagnosed as MS is aspartame in diet pop. People that drink heavy diet pop, some people can't take the neurotoxin aspartame, and they get sick like they have MS. And when somebody finally figures it out and they go off the diet pop, all the symptoms go away. And that's diagnosed, that's documented.
Yeah, wow.
That people have been misdiagnosed with Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, Diet Pop. Which is crazy, I think.
Yeah. That's all over the place.
But it seems like there is an umbrella. And this one here is CCSVI. That's the liberation treatment, which is CC is chronic cerebral CCS, spinal venous insufficiency. And that's that blood flow right there.
You've just gotten yourself a whirlwind education. These terms you're coming out with. I mean, you have taken some time, my dear.
I had to take on doctors. I had to take on doctors with degrees and education, and I somehow had to make them listen. So I had to learn. If I didn't learn, then, you know, I may as well not go to these appointments. He may as well have died 10 years ago. So yeah. But that's what that one stands for. And that one, that when they open up that, the cerebral spinal fluid problem and it starts flowing again, then those people with that issue are cured. They no longer have MS because they really didn't. They had CCSVI. But if Kevin has something that's not MS, we haven't figured it out yet. We even had him checked for Lyme disease. And the neurologist told me that there's nobody on PEI at this point that had ever been diagnosed with Lyme disease. There's no Lyme disease on PEI. I said, well, we might have our first case here. And I want to be able to say that it's not that, even if it's just for the sake of saying it's not Lyme.
It's eliminating a possibility.
Doctors have been ignoring the possibilities and ignoring diagnoses for Lyme disease in this country forever. We had an outbreak where our health unit was reporting that Lyme disease-ridden ticks were found in our region a few years back. Well, the other end of the health unit, the public doctors were screaming Lyme disease didn't exist in the north. Well, we have the ticks. So, pretty sure it exists, you know. I mean, they've been fighting this as a diagnosis for decades already. They don't want to admit that it's happening for some reason because it does encompass so many diseases and can come across as a misdiagnosis for so many other things, which just means we're showing the doctors that, look, you were wrong again, and they don't want to hear that. That's for sure. What's the plan for now, for the future? What are you guys looking at? Are you you're obviously going to carry on with the cannabis therapy? Are you on an increased regime? Is the amounts that he's taking now working? Do you think, adding in topicals, that kind of thing? Are you expanding your reach with cannabis as a therapy?
We're exploring right now. Right now he's doing, we're doing gummies and chocolate. We're looking into, we have some CBD lotion coming, and I want to try that in the massages he's getting. I think that it may benefit him even more getting it, what do you call that, subcutaneously, like through the skin. I think that really might help where the muscle is atrophied and where they need to wake up and where we need to get something going there. Yeah. He wants me to show you the pills.
I'm going to encourage you to add something in to give it a try. I want to throw an encouraging word out there for you. Please try bath bombs. Please try bath soaks. Get his ass into a tub with, a bath soak. You can buy crystals. You can buy bath bombs. You can buy bath crystals that you can dose yourself. Get his ass into a 250 milligram hot tub.
Small problem with that here is we don't have a tub. When we designed the house after the fire, we put in a shower stall that he could wheel right into.
Yeah.
So
no
the bath salt sounds like it would
make sense. If we could get him into a therapeutic tub of some kind, with a bath bomb, those things are fabulous.
That sounds like something I'd like to try.
I love them. It's my personal fave.
Oh yeah.
Kevin says that he is one of the things he's doing in 2022 is he is definitely 100% sticking to the exercise. He's going to be adding exercise, and he says that he's going to walk in 2022. So as long as he,
I want video
of him walking. If it ever happens, you can imagine there will be. Yes.
I want a few bets and people that
it's going to happen.
He wants people to take bets on when he's going to die.
No, I'll take bets on when you're going to walk.
Right? I take that.
How about
I have
that?
a little analogy of how
that's a bet I'll take.
I have a little analogy of how I like to sum up the last 10 or 15 years. Kevin got into the stages where he was basically in the graveyard, in his grave, with the dirt, waiting for the dirt to be thrown on him. He crawled out. He found the closest bar. He got up on the bar stool. He's sitting there right now. He's just enjoying it right there. And he's looking around at his buddies saying, "Are you ready? We're just about going to go." And that's about Kevin. He's raring to go right now. Ready to get on with life.
Ready to beat this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
it. Ready to beat this. Well, I'll take bets any day on when Kevin is going to walk. We should start a pool for that. We got to start pulling for this guy and sending all the healing vibes out down your way in the East Coast to Kevin.
We'll take anything we can get.
You're going to do this, man. You've got the drive, you've got the determination, and you absolutely have the support. So, I mean, just fantastic story all the way around, and I'm pulling for you, man.
We have wonderful support, both his family and my family, and the friends that we have around us. We have excellent support, and that is half the reason we're doing as well as we are.
And you know, all the family and friends around him, like you said, you were a consumer, recreational consumer, but
yes,
I don't think was Kevin a recreational consumer before?
No.
So those people probably would have been, either neutral or maybe possibly against cannabis, and now seeing. Like I always say,
some family members, have some family members that were dead set against it, and now they don't say too much, but I 100% know they quietly accept it.
Yeah,
and that's all we can ask for.
Exactly,
that's a blessing.
Good.
Good. That they're quietly accepting it because of what it's doing. I mean, you can't refute that. You just can't.
A 6-pack turned into a 2-4.
Kevin says a 6-pack turned into a 2-4. Yeah, so right now, excuse me, we said earlier that he had dropped to 126 pounds when he was really sick. Right now, he's somewhere around 165, 170. So he's even better than he was before. So he's got a little bit extra for safety right now.
Better with the 2-4.
Better with the 2-4, that's right.
Extra padding. Extra padding.
They're cold and
I have a question. It's been sort of something I've had to ask you the whole show. And it doesn't directly have to do with what your story. Other than maybe unless it is part of your equipment or to help Kevin get better. But I'll tell you, that light show that I'm watching in behind you on the ceiling, it must be something like a magic butter machine or something going on back there.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's what it is. Is that what it is?
Do you know what it is?
No.
I went to Canadian Tire and I bought a little bulb about that size that you put outside to shine on your house over Christmas to put the colors through your house. And I got it hooked. I got it hooked on my pole line. And yes, and this is what we do when we have people over on the weekends. Not now because we're in lockdown, but
Nice. Okay, nice.
All our social life has to happen in the house because of the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have some pretty good friends around our table quite often. We have some great times here.
Good.
This is the ambiance.
Well, that's because that's I've been looking at that and going, is that a magic butter machine? What's going on there? But okay, I see. Yeah.
No, it's too colorful for a machine. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And up on the ceiling, there's with my Christmas decorations that I bought, there was some that looked like disco balls.
Yeah.
just the small disco balls. So I have a big disco ball in the center, and then I have a whole bunch of small ones hanging around it.
Yeah. Good.
Nice. Very cool.
Very cool. So, is there anything else we should touch on that we've maybe missed out, or shall we get to the?
Kevin says it's better taking marijuana gummies than pills.
Yes.
And I agree. I agree.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Anybody who wants
to, Kevin, we're with you all the way there.
Yes.
That's a lot more natural.
It is.
And tastes better too.
Yeah.
Tastes so much better.
Tastes better, and it's a plant. Put here by Mother Nature. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and they improve children's medicine, like cough medicine, by adding flavor. So
right? Why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Why not? Because I know.
Why not?
Like when you just drink, if you just consume straight up fecal, or however you're infusing it, especially if it's fecal, it can be a different taste, right? Not like a nice yummy gummy.
Yeah. And a lot has to do with the digestion as well. Just straight fecal in capsule form is much harder to digest in your stomach. It's an oil. Our bodies aren't made to break that down inside our stomachs. So when you add that into an edible, it digests much more evenly, and it'll give you a cleaner medicine overall.
Nice.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. That's it.
Yeah. I'm knowledge seeking in the cannabis community right now. The one I've joined on Facebook, I've joined and I'm doing pop-ups in a lot of videos, and I'm looking for information. I'm looking for from the masses where the real knowledge is in the community itself, from the users, not the doctors, anyone's like that. You need to go to the people, and that's what we're doing.
One of the things that I did, and one of the things that I like to, when it comes to the educational part of things, is I listened a lot to doctors, but the doctors that I listened to were the doctors that were doing the research, like Dr. Robert Malamud or Dr. William Courtney or Dr. Lister Grinspoon, and the whole bit. So I put it's got to be probably 15 researchers I got on the PACE website, where people can go in and click on that researcher and then get a YouTube or Google search link with all their studies and reports and videos and everything. And it's, they're not just a regular old family doctor. These are guys who actually done the research.
So what you're pointing out to me is another tool that I can use. That's excellent. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Exactly.
Because I will certainly utilize that.
All right. Good stuff.
Yes.
So Kim, anything else you need to dig out here to find out what's going on with?
No, I'm gonna venture out and just say this outright. I have to have you guys back on. Let's keep in touch. Let's do every 4 to 6 months or so. Get you back in here for a progress report. Let's see how Kevin's doing. If it looks like Kevin's gonna walk, you contact me because I want in on that. I'm going to be watching you, Kevin.
That'd be awesome.
Hey, Kim, don't get the champagne.
There you go. Get the champagne.
I'll get the champagne, my friend. I will get the champagne. Absolutely.
And if you want to follow the journey, we have a group on Facebook called the Twisted Gummy Sister. Just friend me and I'll add you. There's a lot of fun going on over there. And I'm always posting stuff about how Kevin is doing and, talking about it and stuff like that, daily stuff, just documenting the journey.
So Twisted Gummy
Sister, the Twisted Gummy Sister. It's a private group, so you'll have to friend me first.
Right. Okay.
And then
you have you putting up gummy recipes there?
No.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
Not
proprietary
yet,
secrets.
But I have done some gummy porn.
Oh yes, gummy porn.
just
Yeah.
pouring the gummies and mixing the gummies up. And I talk about what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever wanted to piece them together, I'm sure they could figure it out.
Yes, they could. Okay, now
There you
shout
go.
out wise, you can name your Facebook group again. But if you get any person, place, anything like that you'd like to throw a shout out to?
Shout out to Kevin says Jamie, Gilda, Ruby, your mom and dad, our families, both of our families have been excellent.
Family.
There's not one thing that we may want or need that there's not somebody on one side of the families that we can turn to and we'd be denied. There's somebody there that will catch us. And we appreciate that so much. Our families and our friends have held us up so high and made us feel so good that I think that's the big shout out of the night.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. Very
Excellent.
cool.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Exactly.
thank you guys for doing this interview.
Oh, you're very much welcome, and we appreciate the fact that
You're very, very welcome.
You came on the show to do this.
Tonight.
Yeah. Later in the day, his voice tends to get a little more tired. It's clearer in the morning. But 2 years ago,
understandable.
2 years ago, you had to lean in by his mouth to hear what he was saying. So the fact that you can hear him at all is a good thing.
That's right. Exactly.
Huge improvement
exactly.
already.
The fact that
Right?
he's here.
And it's only going to get better from here.
Yes.
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 I
Exactly.
think she likes it when I can't talk to her.
Sometimes.
It's nice. Okay, Kim Cooper, have you got a shout out?
Yes, I do. I have a shout out. I had the pleasure of chatting with a man today. I'm in need of a contractor for something here at the farm, at the homestead. Yes, another issue that I have to call somebody in. I messaged somebody that I noticed on a local Facebook group, and lo and behold, he's a follower of not only myself personally, but our show and our network here, Al. So shout out to Trevor I hope I don't screw up his name. Dvernichuk. He is the tradesperson behind Trademan King's specialty in your renovation dream. So he does renovations, jack of all trades, plumbing work, all of that kind of stuff. You can find him locally in the Temiskaming region here in Northern Ontario. Look him up at trademankings.ca. And lo and behold, I need a contractor. I find a follower, a fellow cannabis consumer and supporter, and he also hosted events for the cannabis community in the Aurelia area before he migrated up here to Northern Ontario. Look at that. It's a small world.
Small world, eh? You just never know. You just never know. Oh, good smokes. All right. All right. All right.
Thanks.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hey, just hang on until after. I'd like to be able to talk to you after the program. I didn't tell you beforehand, but just hang on after to let the commercials run out. And I just wanted to say a few words after we're off the air.
Sure. And a big shout out to our Canna fam. The Canna fam who have kept with us so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Hey, that's
Thank
what we're
you.
all here for. Here for each other.
Right on, yes.
All right, you can find the Pace Radio Show on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. You can find us on our website, paceradioshow.com. Thank you. Let's go to our sponsors, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics. Find them at bmahydroponics.com. Legacy420.com, drbuckcts.com, which is Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions, as well as the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop in downtown Campbellford. A huge thank you to our guest, patient Kevin, and his wife, caregiver, Baglole. How did I do there? Baglole?
Baglole.
Got it. Look at that. Look at it, he's having a drink.
He couldn't do that 2 years ago.
You were telling us during the show that he had to use a straw and hold the big long straw. There he is. Just all right, good stuff.
Nice demonstration.
That's right, exactly. Well, thanks for being on the broadcast, and thank you to everybody for listening or watching, depending on what app you're listening to or whatever you're using. Other than that, we'll see you all soon on the other side.
Thanks for a fun night.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our Hydroponics Superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.